He said that he was a real estate agent, this, that, and the third. And I was still in and out, but we exchanged numbers.
Okay.
And since he said he was a personal trainer and all this stuff, he also knew that I was going through it at my parents' house. So it was just like I was in a vulnerable state.
How did he get your attention? What was it?
Toxic masculinity, I think. The way he looked on the outside, to be quite honest with you. He dressed very flashy. I felt like it was a man that could provide for me because of the way that he dressed, the way that he carried himself. Him saying he had multiple businesses, owned multiple homes. And
so I want to talk about this really quickly, guys. Something that stuck out to me. She said that, I was in a very vulnerable spot and he already knew about me going through it at my parents' house. So let's talk about that. Again, filling a void, right? Wanting a protector, wanting somebody to confide in, right? And I've been there. I've been there where I start talking to a guy or a person and I'm just telling them everything about me, telling them everything that I have going on, confiding about my problems, this, that, and the third, right? But when you do that, the devil doesn't even have to bait you because you just put it in his hands. Like, okay, I can use this, I can use that. She's definitely somebody who don't have a self-esteem. She's definitely somebody who don't have people in her life. If he knew that she was going through it with her family, he knew that she probably didn't have people who was really worried about what she was doing or what was happening to her. You heard it, earlier when she said that when she put that money in her mom's hands, she didn't really ask no questions, but she knew her mother wasn't stupid, right? And so again, filling a void, wanting a protector, wanting somebody to confide in. And that's how we get ourselves in trouble because the Bible says, guard your heart, from out of it flows the issues of life. That means don't just let anybody in your heart. And heart and mind is used synonymous in the Bible, right? Don't let anybody have access to your heart and your mind, the things that ail you, the things that you have going on. What you're dealing with. Don't let anybody just have access to that because then you're playing your hand for the devil because we have to test the spirit, right? The Bible says test the spirit to know if it is from God. So if you're not even testing the spirit, and how do we test the spirit? Does this person that I want to confide in and trust to be my protector, my this, that, and third, first of all, is he a man of God? How do we know if he's a man of God? Does he have the fruit of the spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. We know this man don't have the fruit of the spirit right now. He's in a strip club. He don't have self-control. He's in there looking for lust, right? And mind you, she was working at the strip club. And I, too, was working at the strip club in the past. But I'm saying this to you guys because you might not be in this exact situation, but you might be in another situation where the devil is trying to bait you and you are leaving the door wide open and you're not guarding your heart. And that is the dangers with that. Because then you end up getting love bombed, getting soul tied, and getting in a situation where you feel trapped and dependent, like you need this person and you don't know why it's so hard to let them go. Or you end up in a situation where you get stuck with something you can't get rid of, like what happened to her, and a child perhaps. Now we know children are a gift from the Lord, but sometimes things happen in a way that we might not want. And the child isn't a burden, but all the other stuff, having to deal with that person, the spiritual attacks that can come with that, the spiritual attacks that can then have access to your child, those things can happen. The door could be open for those things to happen, ladies and gentlemen, predominantly the ladies, right? When we don't guard our heart, when we don't test the spirit to know if it is from God. So if you're a woman of God, right? And if you're watching this channel, you're probably, you may not be, you may be, right? So I'm not speaking just to believers out here in this video, but for this particular part, if you're a woman of God, if he's not a man of God, you shouldn't be dating him. He doesn't have the spirit of God. The Bible says, how can two walk together unless they be agreed? We can't be in agreement with things that are not of God because then we would end up in bondage. So